Hi everyone. As you know, Donald Trump was sworn in as president on Friday, and this is a really excellent video that was done by Arthur Prudent that I have up on the screen here. And this is the point in his speech where he was actually addressing the 5 presidents that came before him, starting with President Carter. He actually skipped over Ronald Reagan and Bush Sr. because Ronald Reagan is no longer alive and Bush Sr. is in the hospital, but he started with Jimmy Carter and went all the way to Obama, addressing the presidents, which went back 4 presidents. And there's another really excellent video that was done by Rody61169, and he has a very interesting interpretation about Revelation 17. So this is another really excellent video that I highly recommend. Both this video and the one over here by Arthur Prudent. It's an excellent video to watch. But another video that I was watching the other day is this one over here by Renee Moses. And it was actually this video that inspired me to do this Bible code over here. And this is the latest in a long string of Bible codes that I've done on Obama. As you can see here, this is just a sampling of all the codes that I've done, and these are all really scaled down just to show you pretty much the way the name Obama comes up in all of these tables. So they're all really scaled down without too many terms in there. Of course, there's tons of terms that come up in all the tables when you try to search for terms, but these are all really scaled down. And it would probably take several videos to go through all of these tables, so I'm just going to try to do a few. But I want to start with this latest one over here that I just pulled up yesterday. And as you can see, this reads Obama, Lord, flies, Satan, third term. And this actually started with just these terms is what I had put in originally. I had put in Obama, Lord, flies, Satan, and came up with these 2 matches. As you can see, this first match, everything came up in ELS form, all of those words. And this one is coming up in Genesis 35, which is really interesting because I immediately recognized this matrix because it's the very first Donald Trump table, or one of the very first Donald Trump tables that I ever did. It's in my first Donald Trump video that I did several months ago. And so if you put in the word Trump, you can see that comes up as well. And this is where the 2 names came and meshed together. You can see Trump coming up here in the blue and Obama in the red. And I had said in that original video, it was almost as if they were locking horns with each other, just like you saw on TV during the debate process. Of course, he wasn't debating Obama, but they were pretty much at odds with each other at the time. And I could talk a little bit more about that table later, but if you take the word Trump out, you see that there's 2 matches, and the second match is this one right here, which comes up in Exodus 35. So they both come up in chapter 35. I don't know if that means anything or not, but this one where it just says Obama, Lord, flies, Satan, you can see the word Lord comes up over here in the pink, the letters L-O-R-D, and then flies comes up, matching up with every single letter of the word Obama. So you have the F matching up with the O, you have the L matching up with the B, you have the I matching up with the A, you have the E matching up with the M, and then you have the S matching up with the A. So flies comes up right next to Obama, side by side. And then you have Satan right under that in the bluish lavender with the letters S, A, T, A, N. It's interesting that it says spin with their hands right here. I just noticed that just now as I'm reading this. And that just reminds me of these images right here. I'll go ahead and play a little bit. Okay, I'll play a little bit more of that later probably, but I just noticed this right here just as I was looking at the table just now. I never noticed it before, and it just reminded me of that clip. So that's really interesting. But if you look at the same table with the terms, with the words third term added, you see that the word Lord comes up right next to Obama and flies. So you have Lord of, you have the O in Obama and the F in flies, making the word of. So you have Lord of flies, and then Obama coming this way, and then Satan's down here, and then you have third term coming up at the top. And the reason I thought of putting third term in there is because when this matrix came up, I noticed this phrase, which I've seen before, and I've talked about this before. It has this phrase right here, which reads, skins dyed red and seal skins, which when I did my very first Donald Trump table, I had talked about this because to me this looked like it might be referring to a false flag event or a fake death. And if you put in the word dead, you see that I'll show you how that comes up. Hold on a second. Okay, you see the word dead comes up right in there. So if you put skins dyed red seal skins, the word dead comes up in ELS form at a skip of 1 right within that phrase. So to me that looked like it might be a staged event, and so I brought that up in my very first Donald Trump table, and that's how I noticed that this was coming up in the same matrix. And also because I had done another table on Donald Trump, and this one right here, it's a different matrix, but this one I had done because Arthur Prudent at one point had asked me if I could do a table on Donald Trump and the color purple, because when Donald Trump had his acceptance speech, when he had won the election, everyone that was congratulating him, that they were all wearing purple. And so Arthur Prudent had done a really excellent video about that on his channel, about the color purple and how everyone was dressed in purple once Donald Trump got elected. And he wanted me to do a table to see what comes up, and this is the table that I had come up with. It's coming up in Exodus 24, but what I had noticed right under the color or the word purple was the same phrase right here about skins dyed red and seal skins. So I saw that connection with the Donald Trump table that had the color purple in it, and it's also coming up in the Obama table. So they seem to be connected with this one phrase over here. And there's a number of things that the color purple could be representing. It could be representing resurrection, because it's during Easter, during the resurrection of Christ, when the resurrection of Christ is celebrated, that people drape a purple cloth on the crosses, and it just seems to represent the resurrection, particularly of Christ, but also the resurrection of the dead. And then you see the word rise comes up here in the green, straight up and down, which it's always important when a word comes up straight up and down like this. And then it's connected to the terms, or to the words rose up. So you have rise and then rose up. You have went up into the mountain right next to that, which could be alluding to the rapture. When Moses went up the mountain on Mount Sinai, that was a type of the rapture. So that could be referring to the rapture. You see the word dead over here in the green, could be referring to the resurrection of the dead. And you have the word died in here, and that's coming up here in the burgundy color, going right through Mount Sinai. But if you take the word died out, the word saint also comes up. So I don't think it fits in after that. So I'll just put it in instead of the word died, so you can see that the word saint also comes up. So you see that's coming up over here in the table. So I'm not sure what all that means, if it has anything to do with the rapture and the resurrection of the dead, if it's specific to any individual. I'm not really sure what all that could mean. And so these two tables seem to be connected with this term right here about the skins dyed red and seal skins, which I'm not sure if that is referring to some type of staged event or what exactly that might be referring to. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the head wound, because the actual head wound of the Antichrist is not going to be a staged event. That's actually going to be a real event. It's going to be, the head wound is actually going to be inflicted by God himself when Gog, or the Antichrist, is destroyed on the mountains of Israel. And I had talked about that in another video some time ago, and I'll just show you real quick where it explains that in Isaiah 14. Okay, it's over here in Isaiah 14 that gives you the actual sequence of events of what's going to transpire when the Antichrist, or the oppressor, as he's referred to here in Isaiah 14, when the oppressor ceases, or when he receives the head wound. It explains the sequence of events here in Isaiah 14, but I'm about out of time, so I'm not going to really have time to get into it in this video, so I'll have to continue with that in the next video. Thank you.